Hi, it's Donna Joy Asher from The Belief Builders, and today I want to talk to you about how to stay laser focused in your life. So I've been doing this 6-week course with an amazing lady called Shannon Valance, and last night we had a sharing circle and we were all sharing about our life, and there was this one lady that was caught up in white noise. So she's in a really bad situation in her life, in a family situation, and you could just see her mind was just like just going around and around and around and around. And she talked and talked and talked and talked about it. And then at the end of the sharing circle, someone asked her a question and she went in again. And the whole night kind of got caught up in her just sort of chewing the fat, going over and over and over the same stuff. And she was basically, her mind at the moment is totally consumed with the noise, the white noise that is surrounding this terrible situation that she's in. And it's that white noise that's preventing her from being able to take the action that she needs. So what's this white noise I'm talking about? So if you want to create an amazing life, a life you love, a life where, and maybe it's just a life that you love, or maybe it's a life where you're creating a successful business or whatever it is, you need to be able to rise above the white noise. So the white noise is the stuff that we get caught up in. We're in grade school, right? In grade school or primary school, and it's that whole like, and then she said, and then he said, and then she said, and then he said, and we get caught up in that whole deliciousness of the drama, right? And they're like, oh my God. So white noise is kind of like that. It's that whole like fighting to be right, fighting to be heard. And the thing is that when you're right, somebody else has to be wrong. And so then they're also fighting to be right? They want to be right. They want you to be wrong. And you get caught up in this whole like going around in circles thing, and you can't move on from it. So it can be the need to be right. It can be caught up in the drama. It can be, sometimes the white noise is what's not allowed. What's not allowed to happen in your life. You want to do this, but then you can't because this, and you're going to hurt this person, and it's all this stuff going on in your head, right? And it's guilt and shame as opposed to the desire to win. So it's all this underlying stuff that's preventing us. It's like friction in the machine that's preventing us from being able to move smoothly towards what it is that we want to create in life. So I remember Brooke Castillo. She's the founder of the Life Coach School. Amazing woman. I love her so much. Check out her podcast if you haven't already heard of her. But she's got this thing called the model. And the model is this thing that she created to explain how things work. So the model goes like this. The model is, there's a consequence. So the consequence is something that happens that is totally out of your control, right? So there's a consequence, and then there's what you think about that consequence. There's the emotions that come from that thought. Those emotions then create your action, your inaction, your reaction, and then there's the result you get, right? So basically, all you need to do is change one piece of this puzzle if you want to get a different result. So I love the model because it really allowed me to start thinking differently. But what I've learned now as a hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and, with the recoding and everything that I'm doing is, and I don't know whether or not I'm like a slight change in the model or just calling it a different word. So this is what I believe how things happen. So you have the consequence, right? Then you have a filter, which is the belief. Your belief system, your beliefs about the world, your beliefs about yourself, okay? So the consequence is viewed through the filter of these beliefs. That creates an emotion. From that emotion becomes these thoughts, this mind chatter that goes on. And sometimes all of this is happening unconsciously, right? I mean, the consequence is there. We know that that is there consciously. But then it's the belief system is unconscious, it's the emotion is unconscious, and then the thoughts are sometimes unconscious as well. So sometimes we've got this monkey brain which is running around like chattering at us like blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it's an unconscious thought of like, we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we're not lovable, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm silly. Sometimes that we know that that's going on. If we know that that's going on at a conscious level, then it's going on a lot more than that on an unconscious level because of our belief system. So I'll start the consequence, then we have the belief system, the filter that stuff comes through, which is how we view that consequence, right? What we believe about that consequence. Then from that, it creates emotions within us. Emotions that are linked to our belief system, not to the consequence, okay? The consequence is just something that's happened, but now we have all this emotion surrounding it. And this is why so many different people can view the same consequence and have different emotions surrounding it. It's because in between the emotion and consequence is this filter of belief. It's our foundational belief system. So we have the consequence, the filter of the belief, foundational, which creates an emotion, and that is creating our thoughts, which is then creating our actions, our inactions, our reactions, which creates our result. So I'm pretty sure that this is exactly the same model that Brooke has. In reality, I may be just causing it different things, or I may have just stuck in that belief filter, which is what's causing the thought that we have, right? But what I see is that it's often that belief system that creates the emotion. And then we have thoughts about that, thoughts that come from it. And maybe it's the belief system creating the thoughts and the emotion. And then the thoughts are then creating more emotions. And I suspect that that's really what's going on. That foundational belief system is creating, it's not so much creating emotion. Let me correct that. It's not creating the emotion. It's triggering emotions that are already trapped deep inside us, emotions that are linking back to when that belief system is formed. So we see something, we view it through the filter of our belief system, that evokes emotions that are already within us, that are already linking back to shit that happened in the past, right? That we haven't dealt with, that we don't even realize created our belief system. So that triggers the first layer of emotion deep inside us. We're not even aware it's there most of the time. Then that is creating our thoughts, right? Our thoughts are created through that filter. Then those thoughts are then creating more emotions, enhancing emotions. And when I work with clients, we work down through the emotions. And this doesn't always happen in one session, right? Because this is like an onion that's built up, layers of onions. And this belief system that they created when they're young has been strengthened and strengthened and strengthened because of the way they're viewing the consequence. But when we do start to work down through the layers of the emotions, what's at the bottom is very different to what's at the top. And what's at the top is probably what's creating the monkey brain, the anxiety, the overwhelm, all that sort of stuff, the anxiousness, the stress, all of the stuff that comes with the monkey brain running around, right? The guilt, the shame, all those things are up there. And then when we get down deeper, we get down to different emotions. We get down to maybe even deeper emotions, anger, hate, things like that. And they're there. They were there already, right? They're not actually being created from this consequence that's happened. They're being triggered within us. And maybe it's a consequence that we're exposed to that we've never been, that's a new belief we're forming. And maybe it is the first time we felt this emotion. But by the time we get to sort of our age, it's normally us just reworking the wheel. It's very rare that we're creating new beliefs. We might be shifting beliefs, but not creating new ones. So we have this model going on. We have this consequence, we have this filter of our belief system, which is then how we view the world, which is then evoking, triggering deep emotions that are already there within us and are trapped within us. And then that, and the actual consequence itself and the belief and how we're forming it, is then creating thoughts. So, and those thoughts are then creating more emotions. Okay, so we've got this going on in our head, right? So when you think about that, is it any surprise that we get caught up going around, trying to prove that we're right, trying to prove that that we win. We want to win, right? Because if we win, that's really what our whole belief system, is driving us to trying to like wanting to win, but then also believing that we can't, right? So we get going around, and we can't let go of that. We can't rise above it. We can't sort of like separate from it. We get caught up in the cacophony of all this stuff that's going on. And then we freeze, right? We're either taking actions that don't serve us, or we're reacting to things, or we're not taking action at all and we're freezing and we're not heading towards this goal that we want. So what do we do about this if we're caught up in this? Now, this, what I'm going to tell you, it takes practice, all right? But the more practice you get, then the better you get, the faster it gets. So when you can feel yourself going around in your head about something, and sometimes it's just the minorest of things. It might be just something you're annoyed about, okay? Or it might be something dramatically big in your life. You take time out to sit down and acknowledge what's going on in your head and realize it for the mind clutter that it is, for the white noise that it is. It's the friction that's keeping you trapped, right? Now, some people like to be caught in this. Now, if you're watching my videos, you're probably not one of those people, but some people like to be caught in that drama because that's where they get their importance from. That's how they're important, and that's like secondary gain that they get from being trapped in that area. They don't want to move on. They don't want to move on to here because this makes them feel important. That's part of their belief system. But if you are one of the people that wants to get past this so you can go on, just release the burden of these emotions and these thoughts so that you can go on to create this life that you love, then this is what you can do to help. So, there's many things, right? But this is just one technique I'm going to give you. So you want to clear your mind. remove the mind clutter. Maybe you need to do this one by one. Maybe you need to sit and examine these thoughts as they pop up and what's going on, and like acknowledge that what's happening in your head is actually just your thoughts about a situation, and you're reacting. Reactive thoughts, all right? If they did something and you're reacting, it's like you're just reacting. So one by one, remove these things, like pulling them out, starting to clear away the clutter of your mind, okay? So you can find a place of peace within this. So like the eye of the storm, right? Then what you need to do is you need to really and during this process, you're visualizing where you are now, where you are stuck, where you are trapped, right? So acknowledge that. Then you want to visualize, where do you want to be? What do you want? What's the ultimate goal of what you want in this situation? It may be in life in general, or it might just be out of this particular situation. Then once you have that clear goal in your mind of what you want, ask yourself this question. What's the number one thing I need to do right now to start to head towards that goal? That's it. What's the number one thing I need to be doing right now? And then take that action, okay? You don't need the whole plan, okay? Our personalities out there, you OCD people, you control freaks, you need to let go. You don't need the whole plan. You don't need the whole pathway. That's what's keeping you stuck and trapped right now, right? Because you don't have it, you don't have it, you don't have it. Therefore, you're going around in circles just about that. All you need to know is, what's the number one thing I need to do to get to the next step? What's the number one thing? You take that, you get to that number one thing, ask yourself the question, what's the number one thing I need to be doing right now to get to the next step? So I did this myself today. I mean, I don't know if you can see, this is my new apartment. Once it's all set up, I will take you on a tour. But you can see, I've got heaps of boxes and stuff going on today, and I've got 3 different removalists coming. I've got my fridges turning up, I've got my white goods turning up, I've got my bed turning up. It's all happening today, right? And then last night I get a message from my VA saying, hey, have we got a video to work with this week? And I hadn't done one because I've been so caught up in the move that I hadn't done one. So my first reaction was irritation. Like, I've got all this stuff going on. I've got the move, I've got the why I'm moving, I've got, all this stuff turning up, and I'm like, I'm too busy. I've got this book that's come back from the editor that I haven't even touched yet, right? Just sitting there staring at me. And then I thought, okay, what am I trying to create here in my life? I'm trying to create a life where I'm helping as many people as possible create the life that they want, right? A life that they live. I'm like, okay, so what's the number one action I should be doing right now? I should be filming a video. So I was doing some stuff. I had to think about, well, what would I do a video about? And then I was like, that thing last night at that course I was at, the way she was caught up in the white noise, it's really important. Because even at the end, you could see that she was still stuck in it. She was still chewing it like a dog chewing on a bone. She wasn't going to let it go, right? And I thought that's a really important tool for people to be able to do. What's the number one thing you need to be doing right now? So I took my own advice, and I'm shooting this video because of it. Now, sometimes you're stuck, unable to even do that, because that belief system, that filter of belief systems, is not aligned with where you want to be. So the beliefs that you would have to create what you want is not aligned with the beliefs that you currently have now, right? Can you see how that won't work? So if you're believing one thing about the world, about yourself, but to have the life that you want, you would have to be believing something else to have been able to take that action. Does that make sense? Then it's going to keep you stuck, and it's going to be like an elastic band where you keep snapping back, or where you just can't go on and you feel like you're just going around and around in circles, and it's because your belief system is keeping you stuck. Now, if that's you, then I've got a couple of different options for you, but I'm just going to give you the one now because I can talk to you about different options through that one. And that is to jump on my calendar and have a chat to me about how I can help you. So I create the Belief Builders because I want to help people create and build the beliefs in their life that's going to allow them to create a life that they love. And now, whether or not that's a life with a business in it, or just a life that they love in general, where they're just out there having fun and they're just trying to get rid of some crap that's in their head that's stopping them from having that, right? That's what the Belief Builders is about. It's about creating a strong foundational belief system so that we can then move from there to create the life that we want. So if you think that you need that help, jump on my calendar, donnajoyasher.com/success-session. And then we can have a chat whether or not you want to work with me one-on-one, or whether or not you want to come into this group that I'm about to start with, group coaching. We're going to get recoded, and that in itself is going to help you to start to flow towards your goal. So jump on my calendar, let's have a chat. So donnajoyasher.com/success-session, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.